WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper, your host. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. Find the streams on the TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, Facebook, or on YouTube at WTIM TV. University of Illinois Extension Economic Development Educator Valerie Belusco is on the phone right now. Great to have you here, Valerie.
Good morning. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much. So you are new to this role, I understand. Tell me a little bit about your background. I understand you've been with the extension for some time. Tell me a little bit about what you have been involved with over the last decade or so.
Oh my, last decade. Well, in the last 6 years, I have been with the University of Illinois Extension Office. I've been working as a program coordinator in Montgomery County with a heavy focus working with the local Economic Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit here in Montgomery County. And 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to go back and get my master's and kind of hopefully move up and do more. I saw that there was a greater need than what I was doing just in Montgomery County. So I went back, got my master's, a position opened up, and I did get that position. And so now I am working in Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties as a community and economic development educator. Before that, I was in banking for a short period of time, and then I spent 9 years prior to that working in Effingham County with the Southeastern Illinois Community Foundation.
I understand that's a little bit away from what we're talking about here, but briefly here, what is the Southeastern Illinois Community Foundation?
So community foundations are a great tool to utilize to make sure that you're kind of preparing for your community's future. What they do is they hold a group of funds that can be used for many different purposes, depending on what the donors specify in their fund agreements. And then they invest accordingly, depending on how the money is going to be used, if it's for short-term or long-term projects. And pooling the money together for investment purposes really helps you gain better returns, have fewer fees than if you were doing it on an individual basis. It also allows one kind of central location to be able to market to a broader audience on many different projects, so that it's not 50 people trying to do little things here and there. You kind of have one big source that really knows the nonprofit world well, knows their donors well, and knows the community needs well. But the ultimate goal for a community foundation is really to create endowment funds that will be continually ongoing to serve and financially feed the community.
And that's interesting. I can infer based on that you said 9 years with them, helping them out. I can infer that had a big influence on what you were doing today as economic development educator for University of Illinois Extension. Am I in the ballpark there?
110% correct. Yes. It was a hard decision for my husband and I to leave Effingham County. We kind of went there, young and naive and married, and we really fell in love with the community, with the culture they had there for just making sure that people were volunteering and thinking about the future. And it really hit my heart hard. While I was there, I did a lot of marketing. I did a lot of the accounting and financial work. And I worked very closely with the donors and scholarship recipients, and seeing the benefit that had for the community, and then watching the foundation actually grow. When I left, we were covering 6 counties. And when I first started, we were just one county. And I think we had like 2.2 million. And then when I left, we had 22.2 million. And so it was really nice to know that we had grown that much, and we had money in the coffers that would be serving the community forever. So that definitely influenced my career choices moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about what you are seeing in Christian County, um, or not just Christian, but also Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties as well. In terms of economic development, what kind of education or information are you telling people right now as you are starting to hit your stride in your new role?
So right now I have a few what we call programs or kind of like educational pieces that we roll out that I do fairly consistently that I really enjoy. Um, Something that we do, one of the things is called Real Colors. It is a personality assessment, and it actually helps people understand their personality and communication style better and how it works with people who have different communication styles and personalities so that everyone can better understand how to talk to people who are different than them, what their needs are, what their goals are, and how they utilize their values. Um, it's really good for anyone in a leadership position, and really good for anyone, maybe businesses that have maybe some conflict or maybe have trouble sometimes talking to customers. It's really good to have these tools to understand how you can better communicate with people if you understand where they're coming from and what to recognize. So that's one of the favorite things that I do that I've been doing for years. Um, on the front lines, it's a customer service training course that we offer. It covers everything from in-person transaction to email transactions, phone transactions. You know, one of the things that we hear a lot is the younger generations have difficulty sometimes verbally communicating.
Mm. Mm.
They're they are great online. They are whizzes online, but that verbal or face-to-face telephone conversation can be kind of difficult for them. And so it's learning to give them the tools they need and ways to practice. You know, those things that would just help them become much more successful in their careers and in life. And so we do everything like that. We talk about how you dress, how you act, your manners, different cultures, how to maybe approach things or say things so that you're making sure that you're inclusive and friendly and warm and welcoming. We also do something. I do something called Age Matters. It's a generation training. Uh, this one's kind of fun and kind of funny. we our generations are pretty different from generation to
Mm-hmm.
generation. My parents' generation is so different from mine. And when I look at my daughters, I have a daughter that is 13 and one that is 7. And when I look at their generation, I just think, man, this isn't at all what it was like for me growing up. But all of those things, all of the big world influences for each generation kind of shape individual personalities as well. But then it kind of makes it hard sometimes for different age groups to really work together. So Age Matters kind of helps people understand where the different generations are coming from. This can be used in the workplace. It can be used within volunteering. It's great for anyone in government because, as we notice in smaller towns, the older run governments have kind of different ideas of what economic development is than the younger generations who are just starting to come in. And so, you know, we don't want conflict between the two because they can both learn so much from each other, but they both have to understand each other before they can do that. So those are just a few programs. There's lots more that I do, and if anybody's ever interested in anything, they can always contact me.
As economic development educator for University of Illinois Extension in Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties, Valerie Belisco. Here on the WTIM Morning Show. More from her after this short time out right here on WTIM, your information station.
WTIM. Your information station, WTIM.
It's a WTIM morning show. I'm Avery Cooper, your host. Your stream brought to you by People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. The Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. I have economic development educator for University of Illinois Extension in Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, and Montgomery counties, Valerie Belisco. And before going to break, she talked a little bit about some of the generational training that she offers and thinks is pretty interesting. But I also wanted to kind of hit on that a little bit more because there's a certain trend happening right now among one of these generations in the workforce. And that's not just, of course, here in this area, but across the nation. So I want to know a little bit more about that, Valerie. What is this that I'm alluding to when it comes to our workforce and the different generations and how they relate to that workforce?
Oh, well, so typically I don't like to talk about negative things, but unfortunately, that is a key part of community and economic development. We have to address those hard issues. And one of the issues that we have that was really exacerbated by COVID was the retirement of the baby boomers and them kind of leaving the workforce. Anybody that worked in community and economic development, who worked in universities and education, who kind of studied this, knew probably 2 decades ago that this was going to happen. We were going to have our bust, right? You have a boom, you have a bust. Well, the baby boomers were the literal boom, and now we are having the bust because they are exiting the workforce. And the tail end of the baby boomers are still in transition to exit the workforce, but we've lost quite a few of them due to retirement, and that's wonderful. They need to be able to enjoy this wonderful part of our life. But whoa, some people just weren't expecting how much we depended on those baby boomers. You know, they really helped shape our workforce here in America. And when they left, all of a sudden we're feeling it, and we're feeling it hard, and we're in an adjustment period, and we're just trying to figure out those next steps. So, you know, sometimes you go to the store and maybe you don't receive the same quick service you received 5 years ago. Well, there's a reason for it. It's not that people aren't trying. It's not that we don't have amazing people in the workforce, but it is literally that we have started to lose employees in the workforce, and we're reshaping and changing. So patience is incredibly important during this time. What's also really, really important is, like I said, we do still have some baby boomers that are in the workforce, but they're going to want to retire here in a few years. And many of the people that are still in the workforce actually are business owners themselves or leading and running companies. And what's vital for small communities like ours is that we make sure those businesses stick around even after those people retire. So we want to have that plan for the next generation. And that's something that I like working with communities on, with individual businesses on, trying to figure out, you know, what is the plan? Is this business going to stay in your family? Are you going to look to train someone? You know, it's something that many boomers have literally cherished and run and grown all their life, their businesses. So they don't want to hand it over to anyone. They want to make sure that it's in safe hands, that it's still going to be there for the community. So that's something the university can always help with if that's a concern.
Well, let's finish this interview on more of a positive note. In your time in the area, what are some of the positive things that you've seen in communities that you cover, whether that's in Christian, Jersey, Macoupin, or Montgomery County? Highlight some positives, if you would, Valerie.
Okay, so like I said earlier, when I was in Effingham County, I absolutely loved the culture there of volunteerism and thinking towards the future. And when I first moved back to this area in this region, I felt like a lot of communities were really lacking that. It seemed like there were so many people who wanted to do so much, but they didn't really know where to start, or how to start. And sometimes change and cultural change, such as, creating that community volunteerism culture, can be really hard to get off the ground. But I've noticed really in the last couple of years, since we've kind of been coming out of COVID, volunteerism is exploding. People understand how important it is to the community. They understand that it actually really impacts the health and the vitality economically of the community. And it makes a big difference because when you start getting people of different generations together to volunteer, when you start creating those relationships, what you're doing is so much more than whatever the volunteer mission is. What you're also doing is you're giving younger generations an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to create a reason to stay in their community when they kind of grow up, or when they come to that crossroads of, do I stay or do I go? So it's been amazing to see that. We just always have to remember that things do come in booms and busts, and we don't want to burn out our volunteers. We always want to make sure that we kind of are keeping the constant flow of new volunteers coming in, so our old volunteers don't get burnt out. But we just need to keep that culture moving forward, because it is so vital to our communities. And I'm really proud of how hard our communities have been working with this.
That is economic development educator for University of Illinois Extension and Christian Jersey Macoupin in Montgomery counties, Valerie Belusco. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you.
Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. You can listen online anytime at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.